Have you ever woken up one day and realized that someone who was once a major part of your life is suddenly gone? Maybe it was a close friend who used to talk to you every day. Maybe it was a romantic partner who promised they'd never leave. Or perhaps it was someone you felt deeply connected to, a person you believed would always be part of your journey. Then, without warning, the messages stopped. The calls became less frequent. The connection faded. And eventually, they disappeared from your life altogether. At first, it feels confusing. You replay old conversations in your mind, searching for answers. You wonder if you did something wrong. You question whether you could have prevented the distance from growing. The silence becomes a mystery you can't solve. But what if their departure wasn't random? What if there was a deeper reason behind it? What if the people who leave your life are not always meant to stay? Throughout history, spiritual traditions have taught that every person who enters our life arrives with a purpose. Some come to support us. Some come to challenge us. Some come to awaken parts of ourselves we never knew existed. And sometimes, once that purpose has been fulfilled, they leave. As painful as it may seem, many people discover that the relationships they lost were connected to a much larger process of personal growth, spiritual awakening, and transformation. What feels like rejection in the moment may actually be redirection. What feels like an ending may be the beginning of an entirely new chapter. If you've recently experienced someone disappearing from your life, this message may be exactly what you need to hear today. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why certain people suddenly vanish from your journey, what their departure might truly mean, and why letting go could be one of the most important steps in your spiritual evolution. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share in the comments. Has someone unexpectedly disappeared from your life, only for you to later realize there was a reason for it? Your story may help someone else who is going through the same experience. Now, let's uncover the hidden truth behind why certain people suddenly disappear from your life. One of the most difficult truths to accept during a spiritual awakening is that not everyone is meant to grow with you. When we think about relationships, we often assume that if someone truly cares about us, they should remain in our lives forever. But spiritual growth doesn't always work that way. As your consciousness expands, your energy begins to change. The way you think changes. The things you value change. Even the dreams and goals that once motivated you can begin to feel completely different. At first, these shifts are subtle. You may find yourself questioning beliefs you've held for years. Conversations that once excited you suddenly feel empty. Activities that once brought you joy no longer resonate. You become more aware of your emotions, your habits, and the energy of the people around you. Without realizing it, you're evolving. And as you evolve, something fascinating begins to happen. The relationships that were built around an older version of you may start to feel out of place. Perhaps you've experienced this yourself. You sit in a room full of people you've known for years, yet somehow you feel disconnected. The topics they discuss no longer interest you. The gossip, drama, negativity, or constant complaints that once seemed normal now leave you feeling drained. It's not because you're better than anyone else. It's because you're changing. Imagine two radio stations broadcasting on different frequencies. No matter how powerful either signal may be, they cannot fully connect because they are operating on different channels. In a similar way, relationships often thrive when people are aligned in values, energy, and purpose. When one person's inner world undergoes a significant transformation, that alignment can begin to shift. This is why spiritual awakenings are often accompanied by unexpected endings. A friendship may fade without any major argument. A romantic relationship may lose its spark. Family members may struggle to understand the person you're becoming. People who once felt inseparable may gradually drift apart. And while this can be painful, it doesn't necessarily mean anyone is wrong. It simply means that the connection was built for a different season of your life. Many people resist this process. They try to force old relationships to remain exactly as they were. They ignore the growing discomfort and cling to familiar connections because the unknown feels frightening. But growth rarely happens inside our comfort zones. Sometimes the universe reveals that a relationship has reached its natural conclusion, not because it failed, but because its purpose has been fulfilled. Think about the person you were 5 years ago, the things you worried about, the people you surrounded yourself with, the dreams you chased, the beliefs you defended. Now compare that version of yourself to who you are today. Chances are, you've changed in ways you never expected. And if you've changed, it makes sense that some relationships would change too. One of the clearest signs of consciousness expansion is realizing that not every connection is meant to be permanent. Some people accompany us through specific chapters of our journey. They help shape us, teach us, challenge us, and reveal parts of ourselves that needed to be seen. Then, once the lesson is complete, the connection naturally begins to fade. The pain comes when we mistake temporary connections for permanent ones. We assume that because someone was important, they must remain forever. But sometimes their greatest contribution to our life was preparing us for the next stage of our evolution. What feels like loss may actually be alignment. What feels like separation may actually be transformation. And what feels like the end of a meaningful connection may simply be the universe guiding both of you toward different paths that better serve your growth. The question is no longer, why did they leave? The deeper question becomes, what is their departure trying to teach me? Once we begin to understand that people can drift apart because of personal growth and energetic shifts, a deeper question naturally emerges. Why did they enter our lives in the first place? Many spiritual traditions teach that life is not a random series of encounters. Instead, every meaningful connection carries a purpose. Some people arrive to support us during difficult times. Others appear to challenge us, push us beyond our limitations, or reveal lessons we would never have learned on our own. This is where the concept of soul contracts comes into play. A soul contract is the idea that certain connections are part of a larger spiritual journey. Before two paths cross, there is already a hidden purpose waiting to unfold. Whether you believe this literally or view it as a symbolic way of understanding life, the message remains the same. Not everyone enters your life to stay forever. Some people are meant to stay for a season, not a lifetime. Think about the individuals who have left the deepest impact on your life. Chances are, not all of them remain by your side. Yet even years later, you can still see how they changed you. Perhaps someone taught you the importance of self-worth after breaking your heart. Perhaps a friendship showed you what genuine support feels like. Perhaps a difficult person exposed wounds that needed healing. At the time, you may not have understood why they appeared in your life. But looking back, their purpose becomes much clearer. The challenge is that we often confuse significance with permanence. We assume that because a connection feels powerful, it must last forever. We believe that if someone is truly important, they can never leave. But life repeatedly shows us a different truth. Some of the most transformative people we ever meet are only meant to walk beside us for a short distance. Imagine climbing a mountain. Along the journey, different companions walk with you. Some join you near the base. Others appear halfway up the trail. A few may stay until you reach the summit. Each person contributes something valuable to your journey. Yet not everyone is meant to complete the entire climb with you. Their role was not to stay forever. Their role was to help you reach the next stage. This is where divine timing becomes important. We often focus on why someone left, but rarely consider why they arrived exactly when they did. Why did that friendship appear during one of the darkest periods of your life? Why did that relationship begin just when you needed to learn a specific lesson? Why did a mentor, colleague, or stranger enter your path at precisely the right moment? Sometimes the timing itself reveals the purpose. The universe has a way of bringing people into our lives when their presence can serve our growth the most. And once that purpose has been fulfilled, life may begin gently guiding them away. Unfortunately, many people suffer because they resist this reality. Instead of appreciating the lesson, They become trapped in the loss. They spend years wishing things had remained the same. They replay memories, revisit old conversations, and hold on to relationships that no longer exist. But when we cling to what is leaving, we often block what is trying to arrive. Imagine trying to fill a cup that is already overflowing. There is no room for anything new. In the same way, life sometimes removes certain connections so that new experiences, opportunities, and relationships can enter. This doesn't mean the departed person was unimportant. In fact, the opposite may be true. Their purpose may have been so important that it permanently changed who you are. And perhaps that was always the reason they came. Not to stay forever, not to complete your story, but to help write a chapter that could not have existed without them. When viewed through this perspective, their departure begins to feel less like abandonment and more like completion. The connection wasn't taken away from you. It fulfilled its purpose. And sometimes, one of the greatest acts of spiritual wisdom is recognizing when a chapter has ended, honoring it with gratitude, and trusting that divine timing is preparing the next chapter of your journey. One of the hardest parts of any spiritual transformation is not the growth itself. It's the emptiness that often comes before the next chapter begins. When someone leaves your life, whether it's a friend, a partner, a mentor, or even an entire social circle, what remains is often a space that feels uncomfortable. A silence where conversations used to be. A gap where routines once existed. A loneliness that can make you question whether you're moving in the right direction at all. Most people interpret this emptiness as something negative. They see it as evidence that they have lost something valuable. They rush to fill the void as quickly as possible. They seek distractions, force new relationships, revisit old connections, or desperately try to recreate what they once had. But what if that empty space isn't a mistake? What if it's actually one of the most important parts of your transformation? Nature provides a powerful lesson here. Before new growth can emerge, old leaves must fall. Before a seed becomes a tree, it must first break apart underground. Before a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it enters a cocoon where its old form dissolves completely. The transition is never comfortable. Yet without it, transformation would be impossible. The same principle applies to your life. When the universe begins preparing you for a higher level of growth, it often removes what can no longer support the person you are becoming. This can feel confusing because we naturally focus on what is leaving instead of what is being created. We mourn the closed door without realizing another one is quietly opening. We focus on the friendship that ended instead of the healthier connections waiting ahead. We focus on the relationship we lost instead of the lessons it taught us. We focus on the chapter that is ending rather than the story that is beginning. During spiritual awakening, there is often a period where everything feels uncertain. The old version of your life no longer fits, yet the new version hasn't fully arrived. You find yourself standing between two worlds. You are no longer who you used to be, but you have not yet become who you are meant to be. This in-between phase can feel incredibly lonely. Friends may not understand your new perspective. Family members may question your choices. People around you may wonder why you've changed. Meanwhile, you are trying to make sense of changes happening within yourself that you can barely explain. Many people mistake this stage for failure. They think something has gone wrong. But in reality, this stage is often a sign that profound transformation is taking place. The discomfort you feel is not always a signal to go backward. Sometimes it is proof that you are moving forward. Think about every major breakthrough you've experienced in life. Before it happened, there was usually uncertainty. Before success came struggle. Before clarity came confusion. Before the new beginning came an ending. The universe often works in ways that don't make sense in the moment. It clears space before revealing what the space is for. This is why trust becomes so important. Not blind trust. Not pretending everything is perfect, but a willingness to believe that there may be a purpose behind what you cannot yet understand. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Over time, the weight becomes familiar. You learn to live with it. You may even forget how heavy it is. Then one day, someone removes a few of those rocks. At first, it feels strange. You reach for the weight that used to be there. You notice its absence. But eventually, you realize something remarkable. You can move more freely. You can travel farther. You have energy for opportunities that once felt impossible. Many relationships, habits, beliefs, and attachments function in the same way. We become so accustomed to carrying them that we don't realize how much they are limiting our growth. When they disappear, we feel the absence before we feel the freedom. And that's why so many people misunderstand this phase of their journey. They see the loss, but they don't yet see the space. And that space is incredibly powerful, because space is where possibilities are born. Space is where new friendships enter. Space is where healthier relationships develop. Space is where fresh opportunities emerge. Space is where your future self begins to take shape. Every meaningful chapter in your life required space for it to exist. The person you are becoming needs room to grow. The opportunities coming toward you need room to arrive. The abundance, love, wisdom, and purpose that belong to your next chapter need room to enter your life. And sometimes that room can only be created through letting go. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people who have left. It doesn't mean you erase the memories or pretend the connection never mattered. Instead, it means honoring what was while remaining open to what will be. It means appreciating the lesson without clinging to the past. It means understanding that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. Most importantly, it means recognizing that your journey is far from over. The people who left may have played an important role in your story, but they are not the entire story. There are still connections you haven't made. There are still experiences you haven't lived. There are still opportunities you haven't imagined. There are still versions of yourself waiting to be discovered. So if someone has recently disappeared from your life, resist the urge to view it only as a loss. Ask yourself a different question. What is this departure making room for? Because the answer to that question may reveal that what feels like an ending is actually the first step towards something greater than you ever expected. And before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. Has someone ever left your life, only for you to later realize that their departure opened the door to something better? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story may inspire someone who is struggling to let go right now. And if you're finding value in this message, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end, because the final truth about why people disappear from your life may completely change the way you view every ending you've ever experienced. As we reach the end of this journey, there is one final truth that many people spend years trying to understand. The people who leave your life are not always taking something away from you. Sometimes they are revealing who you are becoming. When someone disappears from your life, the immediate reaction is often pain. We focus on what was lost. We focus on the memories, the conversations, the shared experiences, and the future we imagined with that person. We look at the empty space they left behind and assume that something valuable has been taken from us. But spiritual awakening has a way of changing how we see things. What once looked like rejection begins to look like redirection. What once looked like loss begins to look like preparation. What once looked like an ending begins to look like a doorway. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is realizing that life is not happening to you. It is happening for your growth. This doesn't mean every painful experience feels good. It doesn't mean every goodbye is easy. It doesn't mean you won't cry, grieve, or miss the people who once meant the world to you. Spiritual wisdom is not about pretending pain doesn't exist. It is about understanding that pain often carries a message. Every ending asks a question. Every departure invites reflection. Every closed door challenges us to discover whether our faith depends on what we can see or whether we can trust the path even when the destination remains hidden. Many people spend years fighting reality. They resist change. They resist endings. They resist growth. They spend enormous amounts of energy trying to bring back people, situations, and chapters that have already completed their purpose. But resistance creates suffering. Imagine trying to stop a river from flowing. The harder you fight against the current, the more exhausted you become. Yet the river continues moving forward regardless. Life works in much the same way. There are seasons for holding on, and there are seasons for letting go. Wisdom comes from knowing the difference. One of the clearest signs of spiritual maturity is recognizing when something has run its course. Not because you no longer care, not because the memories have lost their value, but because you understand that growth requires movement. The universe is constantly evolving. Nature is constantly evolving. And so are you. The person you were 10 years ago is gone. The person you were 5 years ago no longer exists. Even the version of yourself from last year has changed in ways both big and small. Change is not the exception. Change is the rule. The problem is that we often expect people to remain the same while we ourselves continue evolving. We expect relationships to stay frozen in time. We expect circumstances to remain familiar. We expect life to preserve what feels comfortable. But awakening reveals that everything is temporary. Every season changes. Every chapter ends. Every experience transforms us. And once we truly understand this, something remarkable begins to happen. We stop fearing change. Instead, we begin working with it. We begin trusting it. We begin seeing endings not as enemies, but as guides. Think about every significant turning point in your life. The school you once attended, the neighborhood where you grew up, the friendships that defined your younger years, the dreams you once pursued. At one point, those things felt permanent. Yet life moved forward. And because it moved forward, new experiences became possible. New friendships formed. New opportunities appeared. New lessons emerged. New versions of yourself were born. Had the old chapter remained forever, the new one could never have begun. This is one of the deepest truths behind spiritual awakening. You cannot become who you are meant to be while remaining attached to who you used to be. Growth requires release. Transformation requires space. Evolution requires trust. Many people ask, why did this person leave my life? But sometimes a more powerful question is, who am I becoming because they left? That question changes everything. Because suddenly, the focus shifts away from the other person and toward your own evolution. Perhaps their departure taught you self-respect. Perhaps it taught you independence. Perhaps it taught you resilience. Perhaps it forced you to discover strengths you never knew you possessed. Perhaps it awakened parts of your soul that would have remained dormant otherwise. Sometimes the people who leave us become our greatest teachers, not through their presence, but through their absence. The lessons they leave behind continue shaping us long after they are gone. And when we finally understand those lessons, gratitude begins replacing resentment. We no longer see them only as someone who left. We see them as someone who contributed to our journey, someone who helped us grow, someone who helped us awaken, someone who played a role in our story, even if they were never meant to stay until the final chapter. This perspective does not erase grief, but it transforms it. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You begin asking, what is this teaching me? Instead of asking, why did they leave? You begin asking, how can I grow from this experience? Instead of focusing on the closed door, you begin noticing the open path ahead. And that path often leads to people you have not yet met. One of the most beautiful aspects of life is that it is never finished introducing you to new connections. Somewhere, there are people whose values align with the person you are becoming. People who will understand your growth rather than fear it. People who will celebrate your transformation rather than resist it. People who will support your journey rather than hold you back. But these connections often cannot enter your life while your energy remains trapped in the past. Imagine trying to receive a new gift while refusing to put down the old one. Your hands are already full. The same principle applies spiritually. When we cling to expired chapters, we leave little room for new possibilities. This is why surrender is so powerful. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means releasing the need to control everything. It means trusting that life may have a wisdom greater than our immediate understanding. It means believing that even when we cannot see the full picture, the pieces are still coming together. Many spiritual teachers speak of divine timing, not because everything happens exactly when we want it to, but because life often reveals its purpose only after we have moved through the experience. When you are standing in the middle of a storm, you cannot always see where the road leads. But once the storm passes and you look back, the path often becomes clear. You begin noticing connections you couldn't see before. You begin understanding lessons that once felt meaningless. You begin recognizing that what appeared to be chaos was actually guidance. And perhaps that's where you are right now. Maybe someone recently left your life. Maybe a friendship ended. Maybe a relationship dissolved. Maybe a connection you thought would last forever suddenly disappeared. If so, know this. You do not need to have all the answers today. You do not need to understand every detail. You do not need to force meaning out of every painful experience. Sometimes growth begins with a simple act of trust. Trust that your journey is unfolding exactly as it needs to. Trust that what is meant for you will find its way to you. Trust that every ending contains a hidden beginning. Trust that every departure creates space for a new arrival. Trust that your story is still being written. Because the truth is, this chapter is not the end. It is a transition, a bridge between who you have been and who you are becoming, a doorway between old realities and new possibilities, a moment of release before a moment of expansion. And as your consciousness continues to grow, you may discover something extraordinary. The people who disappeared from your life were never obstacles to your destiny. They were part of the path that led you toward it. Some came to teach. Some came to heal. Some came to challenge. Some came to awaken. And all of them, whether they stayed for years or only a brief moment, contributed something meaningful to your journey. So honor the memories. Honor the lessons. Honor the role they played. But do not remain trapped in yesterday's chapter. Life is calling you forward. New experiences are waiting. New opportunities are waiting. New relationships are waiting. New levels of understanding are waiting. And perhaps the most beautiful part of all is this. The version of yourself that emerges after learning to let go is often stronger, wiser, more peaceful, and more aligned than the version that first experienced the loss. That is the greater awakening. Not simply understanding why people leave, but understanding that your growth does not depend on who stays or who goes. Your growth depends on your willingness to trust the journey, to embrace change, to remain open to possibility, and to walk forward with faith, even when the road ahead is still unfolding. Because in the end, every goodbye carries a hidden invitation, an invitation to evolve, an invitation to awaken, an invitation to become the person you were always meant to be. And when you finally accept that invitation, you realize that nothing real was ever taken from you. Life was simply preparing you for the next extraordinary chapter of your soul's journey. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had someone disappear from your life, only to realize later that their departure was part of your growth? We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, remember, trust the path, trust the timing, and trust the incredible transformation that is unfolding within you right now.